Today I'm going to talk to you about 3D stamp pen from Viva Decor. I'll show you one that's open. It's a wonderful pen medium that's been created for stamping and back other than your sponge applicators and stamping paper and your object that you want to decorate. You won't be able to feel this, but it's very touchy-feely. This is a little file that was brown cardboard and has been decorated in these stunning colours. So what I'm going to do today, to one side, is I'm going to show you how to do a quick card. I'm going to take a card, fold it, place it down on my surface, and then masking tape a small area so that remains white. So I've already pre-done that, and I've chose to work with two colours, purple and pink, and a stencil. Now this is a well-used stencil from Viva Decor. I'm going to place my stencil down on the surface, and as you can see this is 12 by 12, which is great for scrapbooking, but is also ideal for card making because I can do a big area. This is one that I've just done a minute ago. And then I can chop it down and use parts of that. So back to what we're doing. Place my stencil down, and I'm going to go into paint medium. Put a little bit on and tap off into the lid. And then I'm going to start to rub it on. Now it's got a lot of glitter in there, so it will sparkle. I'll show you another piece in a minute, and hopefully we can get it on the camera. And you can see all the glistening. It's got that wow factor when you see it up close and actually work with it. What you see is the wow factor of the first time when you decide to stamp and emboss, heat embossing, and you go in with your silver embossing powder and you heat it up and you start to see it melt. Wow, when it's 3D and looks so professional. When you look at this in real life, you can see that wow. I'm going to go in with the pink because you see it's quite thick. You don't need a lot. Tap off. If you want it stronger colours, then you tap down and you'll get real strong impact, especially if you're going on the cardboard surfaces. Now what's going to happen here, can you see that my stencil, as it's being used, has curled up a little bit? I'm going to brush it the opposite way to avoid getting it to go underneath. Now you see that I've gone almost back to my pink, so I haven't used two separate brushes, whereas I should do. The sponge applicators that I'm using come in a pack of three large ones and, four, and one small one, if I remember right. Or it could be two. No, it's 3 large ones and 1 small ones for fine detail. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, around in circles. It's a little bit like polishing, but a bit more fun. And I might even use a touch of the ocean, since I've got it out, which is there. So I'll use 4. Just a touch of ocean in there. Introduce it down here, which will create another colour. And then we'll all blend nicely together. Right, that's my piece. Let's check my top corner there. And now, I'll take my stencil off. Remove my masking tape the way that I placed it on. wee little background. And what I'm going to do to channel it, get back in a second. Just going to go around the edges. I'm not going to do a straight line, especially when Jay's got the camera on me. We'll make it wiggly. It's very addictive, and I'm going off into a world of my own here. I'm looking for, what shall I put it on next? What I'm going to show you next is a piece that I did earlier on some scrap paper, and what I've done is chop it up into little sections and then made it as little toppers. Now if you were creating cards for charity, you can see how I've nearly got a finished piece and it's dry and slightly textured, which obviously you can't see on the camera. If I was doing this for charity, it's not cost me a whole heap of money, because as you can see I've not used a lot out of the pot, so it's going to last me a long time. And it was very quick and easy to do, so you could make quite a lot of cards quite quickly, and there's your card ready to send that way. Now put that to one side. That is actually dry. There are a few pieces on the table which Jason will get close-ups of while I get the next piece out. And I've got a piece that I've done earlier using the same colours quite quickly. I'm not going to bore you and do exactly the same again, and I've chopped it in half. And what I'm going to do now, you can see that's the full piece. I've chopped that in half, so I've got two cards. And I'm going to go in with my paint, and I'm just going to go around the edge. So this is the same sponge that I used just a minute ago. I've not actually picked up any more paint, just dab around the edge of that. Working more on the corners than the edges. This is a wee technique of use up what's on your sponge. A little bit like when you're wallpapering or painting your house. There's always loads left on your roller. And you'll be surprised how much is actually still on there. Just a teeny weeny bit more purple, a little bit darker down at the bottom. In the corners. And side. See how strong that is. This is brand new on the market from Viva Decor. And I can guarantee that when you get to play with this, you're just going to want every single colour. I can go back if I want later, but I'll just speed it up. I'm going to use the black and a stamp. Happy birthday background stamp from Viva Decor, if you can see that one. These are great because these retail out at less than £5 a shot for all those acrylic stamps. which again is like a cream. The black and the white is like a flat matte black and a flat matte white, if that makes sense, whereas the 3D stamp paints in the colours are metallic and no need for a heat gun, as I said. So I'm going to put a little bit on there and wipe it off, and then I tap into my lid because I don't want to waste it. So I tap the excess off into my lid, stamp up my paint onto the stamp. So it's all inked up and ready to use. And what I like about this, other than my regular ink pads, is the fact that it dries matte and chalky and slightly raised as well. Now, I'm just going to put a little bit on there, tiny amount of pressure, don't need a lot of pressure. And again, down at the bottom. And then I'm doing that. Use your cleaning fluid, or you could just take it and wash it under the tap, soapy water. Always put your plug in or work in a bowl, just in case you've got the smaller ones that will disappear down the plug. And then that's ready for you for the next time. Got another little stamp which is off the same set. Should hold that back up again. The one I've chosen is this wee little tiny delicate little flower here. And then that up. And I'm just going to stamp around where I stamped the purple. Instead of going in and re-ink. The other great thing that I like doing with this is colour tinting ribbon with the metallic. It's very effective because it makes you look like your organza ribbon is the expensive one that you very sparingly use. So I tend to work a lot on just the white and the natural plain. The cheaper ones, I actually jazz them up myself. When I looked at the texture of this, I thought, oh my goodness, how well will it stamp? Well, it's picking up fine detail. And there's my little topper. Okay. Again, if you're working on mount board or anything thicker, this is just paper. You can colour tint the edges. There we go. Now, put that to one side. Piece that I did earlier in different colours. If I move it, whether we can actually see the light that reflects off of that, it's really sparkly, especially the gold and the copper here in the corner. And you can pick that up, and I'll try with my purples and ocean and pink this one. Knock that into a card. I will just mat and layer and add some ribbon. And here's one we did earlier. You can see I've used a 3D chippy and it's covered that quite well. And also I'm going to be showing you the technique that we've all got embossing folders, or a lot of us have, of using it on some embossed paper, or you can buy embossed paper and jazz it up. But the colour that comes from it makes it look very, very rich and metallic. Thank you for watching us today, and I hope you enjoyed it.